Have you ever wondered what's the maximum number of guests you can fit in one queue line? Well, don't worry, I figured it out so you don't have to wonder anymore. The answer will shock you. It's a lot of guests. Hey, I'm Cody and I make RollerCoaster Tycoon videos, Sims videos, all kinds of stuff, and you belong here. If you're looking for 1990s and 2000s gaming content, this YouTube channel is your new home. RollerCoaster Tycoon has continued to evolve over the years thanks to the developers at OpenRCT2. OpenRCT2 is an open source version of the game and it constantly updates, which means old bugs are being fixed and limitations are being lifted. And one of the older limitations is how many guests can fit in your park. And a few months ago there was a big update and it raised the limit to 65,136. That's of course the sprite limit, but if you have nothing else in your park, no rides, no staff, you can fit that many guests in your theme park. So what I wanted to do is put them all in one queue line at the same time, and I figured out how to do it. So first you're going to open up a new park. The best one is the Build Your Own Six Flags park. Next you're going to put a ride of your choosing in the far back corner. Doesn't have to be a roller coaster or anything crazy, just a flat ride will do. Now, here's the question. How do you know how big to make the queue line? Well, the answer is mathematics. So I tested to see how many guests can fit in one path of queue line. And of course, it's not going to be easy. It's different every time. You can see here, sometimes it's 5, 6, 7, 8. I even saw 9 one time. So I was like, well, let's take the smallest number just to be safe. So that's 5. And we'll do 65,000 divided by 5, which is a nice even 13,000. Then I wanted to find the square root of 13,000. This will tell us how big the square is that we need. The square root of 13,000 is 114, so that means that I need to have a 114 by 114 piece of land to build my queue line. And I'd rather overestimate than underestimate, so I did 4 64 by 64 tiles of sand to mark the space, and that's 128 by 128, which is more than enough to fit all the guests. This next part might look weird, but I promise it's going to save you several minutes. I'd recommend putting large pieces of scenery around the entire perimeter. The reason for this is that I'm going to use an automatic clicker to place the queue line, and I don't want to have to worry about trying to guess when to stop the clicker each time I get to the end. So this is going to make it naturally stop on its own. So once you get that ready to go ahead and start with the automatic clicker. This part was kind of fun. It wasn't really hard. It took me maybe 5 minutes or so. And I knew as soon as I started doing this that this was going to be really aesthetically pleasing when doing a time lapse. That's a lot of queue line, guys. That is a very long queue line. Alright, and here's the zoomed out version. Now, you'll notice that I didn't complete the entire square. I can't remember, but I somehow figured out that I didn't need to, and I would still have enough queue line space. So once I got to the end, it was time to place the queue line TVs. Now, these are very important. Without these, you will not be able to do this at all. The queue line TVs will keep the guests in line. Entertainers do help, but from what we're seeing here, the TVs are more important. So I got out my automatic clicker again, and off we went. Now this took about 15 minutes to do. It was very tedious, and honestly my least favorite part of the whole thing. It is very aesthetically pleasing though on a nice time lapse, so I hope you're enjoying this here. And you want to really get as many queue line TVs as you can. Pretty much want to cover every single path in the queue line. I did this more than one time, and I didn't put that many queue line TVs the first time, and I had guests leaving the queue lines in droves. So the second time I did this, I made sure to pretty much cover every single path with queue line TVs. Really quick, while we're waiting for this, do me a favor. If you're enjoying this video, if you're having a good time, please go and hit that like button down below the video player. It really helps push this video out to more people, so it would be a huge help to me, so please do that really quick. And let's get ready to open this ride. I skipped ahead to when all the queue line TVs were in place, and I got my clicker ready and the large tram button pulled up, and I went to town. I got some really cool time-lapse footage as this ride was filling up. It's really, really fun to watch, so I put a lot of the footage in here. I hope you enjoy it, but again, this took several hours to fill up this line. I mean, I let this run all day, and eventually I did it. So you're going to see here in a minute, we're going to get 65,000 guests in this queue line. Finally, after maybe an hour of fast forwarding, I finally got the first guests to the front of the line. And the throughput on this particular ride is slow, and so thankfully you'll see these guests piling up really quickly. One more important thing, like I mentioned earlier, the sprite limit in the game currently is 65,136. But depending on the size of the ride and how many staff you have in the park or trees, the max number of guests you can get in the park, maybe less than that. My goal was to just get 65,000. That was my goal. And if I could do that, I was happy. Well, several hours later, I realized that I wasn't going to be able to be happy. I was stalling at about 63,000 guests in the queue line. And then I noticed that the throughput of the ride was like too fast. Guests were getting on and off the ride faster than guests were entering the park. So I tried to slow down the throughput, and I just couldn't get it to work because guests are always going to be getting off the ride, and I don't know if you can spawn enough guests in time to get all 65,000 guests in the queue line without any of them riding the ride. I definitely think it's possibly possible, but I don't know that I can do it. I may set the stage for maybe a more impressive, more talented, more amazing YouTuber to come in one day and beat my record. I got about 64,000 in the queue line at one time, but I just think we need someone better, more good looking. Either way though, I'm pretty proud of what I accomplished. I mean, I got like 64,000 guests in one queue line. I've never done this before. Look at this. I can't even fit the whole thing on screen. You can't see it all. This is awesome. I think this is the official classic Cody queue line. Am I right? I should make every queue line this long from now on. I wonder how long it would take to wait in line. I should make a video on that. So I'd love to know from you if you've done this before and maybe you found an easier way or a different way to get that many guests in a queue line. Put in the comments below your suggestions if you think I can do it better or maybe more efficient. And now you might be thinking, what am I going to do with these 65,000 guests in this queue line? What if I drown them all? Well, don't worry. I took care of that for you. In this video right here, we're going to take this exact same ride. I'm going to drown every single guest in this queue line. So please click over. This is insane. I'm insane. But click over and watch that video right now and enjoy it.